Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tarnation TV production. Here we are on a Thursday night at Rolling Thunder Gaming. This is the Talladega Challenge, hosted by the Flat Out Racing Network, so simulcast style. If you're watching on Flat Out Racing or you're watching on Tarnation TV, we thank you very much. Busy night tonight. This is race number 3 of season 68, so again, thank you for watching, and this should be a good one. Yeah, apparently Kyle Busch just passed away within the last couple hours, so that was kind of a last-minute deal. So we'll definitely be talking about that. Of course, the points race, we're coming into race number 3. Some stuff's going on, and we have a new update on our playoff setup, but I will be quiet and allow Kyle Matthews and Seth Cole. You guys probably couldn't hear me, but the broadcast could. I just realized I had my TeamSpeak mic shut down. But Kyle Matthews and Seth Cole, take it away. I did a whole intro, and you guys didn't even hear it. I mentioned Kyle Busch. I mentioned our new playoff setup as well here in season 68. So yeah, I'll let you guys elaborate on that stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting with that new bombshell that was dropped this past week of the new playoff system going to be incorporated here into season 68, and then of course going to be entirely different for season 69 as well. But Kyle, first off, you got to get to the playoffs, and so far we've ended up seeing 2 drivers be able to find victory lane, secure themselves a spot in the postseason. Kind of interesting because the first race when Tim Knopfsker went to victory lane, it was pretty much survived the chaos. Last week, we kind of talked about historically, normally it's the same type of chaos from race 1 into race 2, but it looks like they kind of settled down a little bit here early on in the season. We saw a lot more green flag racing last week. Kelly Causey taking the checkered flag. So can we now expect to see more of the same what we saw last week, or was that a one-off? Do we go back to the chaos of race number 1?
This series is so unpredictable. It's like you never know what you're going to get. One week you'll see a pretty calm race. The next week you'll see a lot of aggression, a lot of action. The next week, somewhere in the middle, and then the next week after that, who knows? I mean, this is such an unpredictable series, and that's what makes it so much fun to watch. Honestly, if I had to make a prediction, I think we'll see a little bit of both. I don't think it's going to be like a complete, wreck fest or anything like that. But I do think we will see some aggression because, these guys want to get out there. They want to win. They want to, guarantee themselves a shot at racing for the championship.
You mentioned the word unpredictable, and obviously the unpredictability of these first 2 races has put a lot of drivers that we are so used to seeing running up in the top 5, top 10 every single week in the conversation for the victory and eventually being a part of the playoff field. It's not been the best start for them here these first 2 weeks. You've got drivers like Donnie Garrett, who was a part of the Final Four last season. 2 races in, he's sitting 17th in points. Rodney Sullivan's coming off an Aero 88 victory at Indianapolis yesterday. Really good at super speed racing, but he's 19th in points. Brian Schilling, a former champion of the series, 22nd in the standings. Denny Carroll, who's made the playoffs back-to-back seasons, he's 26th. Now, we mentioned about the fact this is one of those rare occasions where there's no off weeks. They are going to have the full 9 regular season races to work with. Obviously, 7 races left, including tonight with 2 in the rearview mirror. Is it time for these drivers to hit the panic button, or do you think at least tonight they're just maybe not even looking for a race victory? They're looking to get something in terms of at least a good finish inside of the top 10.
I don't think anybody's going to be hitting the panic button after just 2 races, but like you said, they know that they're struggling, or at least they know that they're, may not be struggling, but just not have had the luck the first 2 races. So I think they're going to look at tonight as thinking, we need a good finish here. If I can go out and win the race, cool, but, they'll be happy with a top 5 or a top 10 coming out of tonight.
And the season is still young as well. Only 2 races down. Points are still super close. And another full 42-car field here this season, or 40-car field, I should say. So there are a lot of points on the table. A good run here tonight, you could leapfrog your way up through the standings. A bad performance, you could find yourself free-falling pretty quickly. Case in point, a few drivers last week moved themselves up into a playoff position. Craig Hagley, Mark Paglia up 11 spots to 7th and 8th respectively. But Richard Martin and Graham McDonald, they dropped 10 and 11 spots respectively, down to 14th and 15th position. We mentioned about that there is a new playoff format for these drivers. Now, in recent seasons, we've talked about the top 12 in the point standings, because if you are 12th or higher at the conclusion of the last regular season race, you're going to battle for a championship, regardless of if you have won or not. They, of course, have allotted wildcard spots also if you are 13th through 20th in the standings with a victory. Not so the case here in Season 68. New announcement was made earlier on this week that they have changed the playoff format. Now, this season, the top 16 drivers in the point standings will be locked into the playoffs, regardless of wins or not. 17th through 20th with a win would get a wild card spot. So with that being said, Kyle, obviously a lot more room, a lot more spots available in the playoffs, maybe makes it a little bit easier for these drivers that have had the difficulty, or even those that have had the good luck here to kick off the season, make their decision making a little bit more easier when we get to the midway point of this regular season, and of course the home stretch towards the playoffs.
Yeah, that's gotta be a lot of these drivers got to be breathing a sigh of relief after hearing that news, where top 16 is locked in, and then they could get in via a wild card spot if they win a race, possibly. So, this is another reason why I don't think anybody's going to be hitting the panic button just yet after 2 races.
Kind of the blessing and the curse. Yes, there's more spots to get in, but then when we get to the playoffs, there's going to be more opportunity and more drivers that are getting eliminated with each round. But we got to get to that point first here as these drivers line up on pit road, 40 cars strong, in preparation for another 66 laps at the Talladega Super Speedway. You won't see a pole sitter because, by random luck, yours truly. Yeah, apparently it was so fast they couldn't even read the time on the scoring monitor. But yours truly got the pole position, so a makeshift pole sitter will be Bobby Farrell. That entire inside line will move up. Burning Mob's going to be the outside of that front row, but we'll read the grid off the way that they were positioned based off the random qualifying draw. So Bobby Farrell is slated to roll off from 3rd position. Ulysses Sandoval will join him on the outside of row number 2. Grant Wesley, Robert Spring, they'll be row 3. Row 4, Pat McCarsky and Rod Weston in the field here tonight, representing Tarnation TV. Your top 10 going to be Glenn Harris and Terry Bombard. Jeff Cavello, Tim Anderson, they're your 6th row, with Bob Seminara, Keith Bynum in row 7. Row 8 finds Craig Hagley and Michael Norman. Row 9, Greg Palmer and Denny Carroll. Sean Turner, Jason Scheck, they're going to complete your top
Lost a gear
20.
Restart.
Chuck McClure, your defending 2-time series champion. He's going to be back in the 11th row alongside of Mark Paglia. Row 12 finds Richard Martin, Doug Hewlick. Row 13 will be Josh Metallic and Joe DeSpirito. Rodney Sullins in the 14th row with Javier Negron. And your top 30 will be completed by Mike Mangialardi and Billy Elliser. You got to go all the way back to the 31st, the 31st position before you find one of our former winners on the season, Tim Nofsker. He will share that row number 16 with Jeremy Jeffries. Row 17 will be Cody Lamas alongside of Ken Roberts. Row 18, Dennis McCarthy and Tom Dixon. Great to see Tom in the field here tonight. Brian Schilling is back in the 17th row with Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Good to see Randy in the field here as well. We missed seeing him last week. Certainly hope that Corey is doing better. And your final drivers here tonight to roll off the grid will be Graham McDonald, Donnie Garrett, and Brian Wolf. Point standings really close coming into tonight here too, Kyle. It looks like about 37 points separating the top 10 in the overall standings. And of course, with those midway stage points, any one of them, based off circumstances, could leave here tonight the new points leader.
Yeah, a lot of points can be gained tonight because of that, like we talked about last week with those stage points, and plus, the bonus points that we always stress so much about by getting up there and leading a lap. You get 1 bonus point for leading a lap, 2 bonus points if you happen to lead the most laps, and you throw in the stage points. There's a lot to be gained here at every race. So it's the second time they've tried to get the cars on the track. I think somebody didn't get going on the initial leave from pit road right there, but everybody seems to be under power here right now.
Yeah, the initial one got word from Rodney Sullivan. Somebody dropped a gear, so they just re-racked them.
That's a policy they have here in RTG. They tell everybody, check your gears, you're rolling off pit road. And if they have to do that reset, they do that. Looks like everybody rolled off cleanly this time, so they'll get themselves ready for the third race of the season. Pretty good representation up here at the front of the field. First two rows, a blue oval, a bow tie, a Dodge, and a Toyota Camry in those first two respective rows. And a lot of drivers that are trying to get back to victory lane that were able to one season ago. A lot of drivers that are running a long winless streak and are looking to snap that. We saw Kelly Causey snap a very lengthy winless streak last week. We obviously heard from last week that he was not going to be able to make this week's race, so got to be really happy he's got that victory in his hip pocket. But do we see maybe another winless streak get snapped here tonight, 1 week removed from the legend of Kelly Causey being able to do so?
Very well could. Got a lot of candidates for it.
Now the pace car has left the field in the hands of the STP Mustang of Bobby Farrell. 2 races so far. 2 different winners have gone to victory lane. Will we see a third? Race number 3 of the Talladega Challenge Series is green.
Bobby Farrell got a really good start right there. Him and Grant Leslie, they were ready for that.
Both will get themselves clear of that Carson Hocevar looking livery of Bobby, make that of Bernie Mobbs on that top side. And surprisingly, I thought that once they got clear, we would see the 92 and the 88 migrate up to that middle line. They stayed committed to the yellow line there. Ooh, that was close. Ran almost into the left rear quarter panel of Farrell's machine. And look how that completely broke up the momentum of that inside line. Here comes Bernie on the top.
Yeah, Bernie Mobbs got a good push there from Ulysses Sandoval. It's a different look for Ulysses this week. A nice Kyle Busch tribute on that 96, that M&M's throwback. And Bernie Mobbs is going to lead the first lap.
Yeah, of course, the sport-shattering news this afternoon that Kyle Busch, at the age of 41, passed away due to an illness that apparently we were made known of yesterday. And so Ulysses Sandoval running that Kyle Busch tribute paint scheme here tonight in that number 96. And well, you talk about a motivator. We know Ulysses would love to get back to victory lane, as multiple series wins here on Thursday nights. But when you're driving a car like that has that kind of gravitas behind it, maybe a little bit extra motivation to win as caution is out.
It's wild to think, like, Kyle Busch, and I look at the year, 1985 to 2026, like, my youngest brother was born in 85, right? It doesn't seem like you're not old enough.
No.
You know, like my youngest brother will be 41, or he'll be 41 in another month. Exactly 1 month from now, actually, June 21st. So it's like, oh my God, 85. Like when you see it, it's weird, you know? And like he won Dover last week, didn't he?
Yeah, he won the truck race last week.
Race.
And that's the thing, too. And
Like,
as
what
you say,
happened
you're
in
not
the
old
span
enough.
of 6 days? It's wild.
That's the thing, right? There's obviously a level of concern as looking at what happened. Looks like some stack up going into turn 3 there on that inside line.
The Javier Negron got into Rodney Solins right there. Like I said, there was a stack up on the inside line, and it's like, as we see so many times, a big stack up has a domino effect, and it's like Billy Ellis in the 26 got the worst end of it right there. Gets into the 40, collected somebody else right there. I believe it was a 45 of Tom Dixon.
I think it even happened even further up there than Rodney. I think it was the 12 of Jason Scheck was kind of straddling the inside and the middle line. Doug Hewlick might have gotten into the back of him, and that checked everybody up. But Brian Schilling. Whew, I don't know how he didn't spin that car out. Just kind of deflected Javier Negron off the right side of his car, kept on going.
Cody Lamas made a little bit of contact there.
Went to a spin down there on the apron, did Cody as well after that hit from Sean Turner. About a half dozen drivers caught up in this one. I didn't see anything that necessarily looks like it's going to take any drivers out of the race. Pretty hard hit with the back end for Billy Elliser, though. I think the biggest thing about the Kyle Busch announcement today was the fact that it was so sudden.
Yeah.
The announcement yesterday, the news article, the report that he had been hospitalized and receiving treatment and everything, there's obviously a level of concern, but there was no indication of any kind that it could be something that was life-threatening. So I think everybody was just kind of waiting to see, what the next update would be. I don't think anybody expected that the next update we were going to be was that Kyle passed away.
No, that totally took me by surprise. That group chat that you and I are in, I saw the news first thing that our colleague Jack Mitchell actually reported in that group chat, and I just couldn't believe it. And then everything on Facebook, everywhere I looked on there was reporting, and I was just like, goodness gracious, like what is going on here?
You know that it's a out of nowhere thing. When for me, my first gut reaction was I thought it was a fake account posting a fake news article.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I heard it from like Rodney, and again in a group chat with league and like you guys in that group chat thing, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh, Kyle passed away, and I'm like, what? So again, I googled it, ESPN, NASCAR.com, Childress, they all posted it. So I text my mom because I'm like, my mom's a massive NASCAR fan. Like she would have texted me this, what's going on? And then I checked the timing on all those news articles popping up within 40 minutes of when I looked at it. And I'm like, oh, she didn't know because she asked me too. She's like, you sure it's not fake? I said, no, Childress, NASCAR.com, ESPN, they're all posting it. And it was weird for her not to know because, like I said, she's a big NASCAR fan. She'll be watching the 600 this weekend. And it's like, again, out of nowhere. What kind of sickness did you catch that, within a week took you?
Yeah. And Kyle, you and I were talking about this with a bunch of others, this last couple of hours before we came on the air for the broadcast too. Blaine, you talk about, your family, into racing and everything. Even people that aren't really all that familiar with NASCAR, there's not a whole lot of names out there that you can say, and then the person that knows nothing about NASCAR will say, oh, I at least recognize that name. I mean, you mentioned Richard Petty, you mentioned Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon. People will know immediately who that is, even if they have no prior interest in NASCAR. Kyle Busch was one of those people. He was, by all rights and purposes, he was a polarizing figure. His name was constantly in the headlines, for better or for worse. So whether you were interested in the sport of NASCAR or not, you knew who Kyle Busch was. My sister didn't really have any interest in NASCAR, but she texted me earlier today and was like, I can't believe that Kyle Busch has passed away. It's one of those figures of the sport that you knew of, whether you were only 1% interested in NASCAR or fully in.
Same with my wife. She doesn't know NASCAR really, but again knew his name because he's a champion and he's been around for a couple of decades now, easy. So it's just weird.
Yeah, you talk about how sudden and how shocking this was. Seth, one of our friends, Nick Gunther, actually went to the All-Star race on Sunday, got to meet him.
Yep.
Got his autograph, got his picture taken with him.
Got to meet him, had a conversation with him and everything. That was 5 days ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure more news will come out. I mean, it doesn't really matter. He's gone, but it'd be interesting to hear like what exactly was going on because it is such a wild, out of nowhere, super quick thing.
Certainly is, and we'll probably be talking a little bit more about Kyle Busch during the course of this broadcast as well. But we'll get back to the racing here because these drivers are certainly ready to do so. Green flag back in the air.
Nice
Lap
bump on the
6
top
will
side.
go up on the board.
Yeah, big little bit of a stack up there on that outside line. You saw the top 2 or 3 kind of get into each other. Thankfully, everybody able to keep it together. Everybody trying to anticipate that restart.
Yeah, so that's something I've been noticing here towards the latter portion of last season. And then the start of this season, been a lot more of that second and third car in line trying to anticipate the restart to get their line that momentum they need, have the advantage going into turn one. I remember a number of drivers commenting last season, everybody loves the fact that we're running the Men Cup 2019 mod. It's a lot easier to push, to line up the bumpers, but they also mentioned that because everybody is able to push so well, it makes it a lot more difficult to get your respective lines moving and gain some type of an advantage. I'm almost wondering if these bumps we see on the starts and restarts are them trying to find the momentum while getting up to speed rather than having to rely on doing it once they're up to full song.
Looks like we already have a third line forming, or at least we did. Right there, saw Greg Palmer leading it, but now these guys in front of him. Oh, Bob Seminara top to bottom there. He's at the very top. Now he's on the bottom line there. So we're 3 wide for the lead.
Yeah, Palmer was leading that line. Hewlett jumped up in front of him, then Carroll, then Bynum. He is the lead car on that third line, the Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. And Bernie Mobbs and Bobby Farrell, who were leading the outside line just about a lap and a half ago, are looking around saying, where'd everybody go? They've been put in the sucker hole, stuck there in the middle with no help and going backwards.
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right, stuck in the middle with you.
Take a look at a couple of drivers up here at the front. I mentioned them before they went green. Craig Hagley, Mark Paglia. Really good runs for both of those Ford drivers last week. Has them 7th and 8th respectively in the overall points. Right now, out in front, first 2 cars, the inverted numbers, looking for back-to-back good weeks and keep themselves up there in the point standings. It's a couple of other drivers. Hagley has never picked up a checkered flag here on Thursday nights in the Talladega Challenge Series, so it would be a first time for him. Paglia kind of fits that same billing that Kelly Causey did 1 week ago, riding a long winless streak.
Somebody that's impressing me right now, 4th place right there, Tim Knopsker. What did you say he started back in 30-something?
30 seconds.
Lap number 9, he is running in the 4th position.
Wow. Double checking to see, I think Knopsker, yes. No, so Knopsker was one of the drivers that stayed out. So that's how he gained his track position. There were about 9 drivers that stayed out under that initial caution. So they're going to be a little bit shorter on fuel than everybody else. But let's not forget, Knopsker has a victory. He won the season opener, so that gives you a little bit more freedom, a little bit more luxury to do something outside the box in terms of strategy. If it works out, hey, you might be a multi-time winner 2 out of the first 3 races. If it doesn't work out, well, okay, you lost some spots in the standings, but you've still got that playoff spot with the win.
All the more reason to go out there and try to win races. It gives you the, like you said, gives you the freedom to take a chance like that if you have to.
Like our top 12, all single file here. You gotta go back to Keith Bynum, Tim Anderson to find the first side-by-side. Well outside of the top 10.
I thought they were going to get that battle settled out right there, but Bynum stays to the outside. He's got, I believe that's a 74 right behind him there, trying to lead that outside line a little bit further up.
55 of Ken Roberts also right behind them. Ken coming up that runner-up finish last week, where he followed Kelly Causey across the start-finish line. Ken, so far this season, the only driver to finish in the top 5 in both of the first 2 races here, sits 2nd in the point standings, only to Tim Knopsker, 15 points back.
Look at Richard Martin, got a good run on the inside right there, the 43 car. He's got Brian Schilling right behind him, along with Josh Metallic. Rodney Sollins is in there, along with Joe DeSpirito, trying to get that inside line moving.
Yeah, Brian started towards the rear of the field, 36th off the grid, and trying to crack up into the top 10. One of those drivers we mentioned that has not had the best start of the season. Meyer 22nd in points coming into tonight. Don't forget, too, Brian Schilling is the defending Bracket Series Challenge champion, and they'll be starting that up, I believe, in the next couple of weeks. So Brian would like to not only climb up in the point standings, but improve his seed as well as to where he would be placed out of the 32 drivers once that bracket is put together.
So Denny Carroll going to jump in front of Martin to lead that inside line now. It's another guy that we talked about, hasn't gotten off to the best of starts so far this season, looking to rebound tonight.
We'll now move to the middle line, and here come the Chevys, now ganging up on the Fords at the front of the field. Chuck McClure makes the step out on Mark Paglia. Tim Nofsker will follow him through. Wesley, Seminara, all jumping down to the inside line, and just like that, Hagley are going to go from first and second to maybe outside of the top 5 as Glenn Harris is lined up down there, Bernie Mobbs,
Whoa.
and a bunch more.
Oscar got a little bit out of shape right there, but he's able to keep it together. That's a pretty potent pair leading it right there of Chuck McClure and Tim Oscar, seeing how well those two work together.
We have to remember to think our donation, or our sponsor for the whole entire season, the donation was made anonymously. We still don't know who that is, and we don't ask. Just we greatly appreciate, the services. I mean, the fact that they wanted Tarnation TV and Flat Out Racing to come together is super cool. And whoever put the funds up, we thank you very much. And all
Absolutely.
they wanted was
big part of that. Big reason for that, I think, is the product that these drivers deliver every single week as well.
It needs to be shown. It needs to be captured. And all they wanted, the anonymous donor, all they wanted was the, it's dedicated to the memory of the fallen drivers in the league and the military as well. So that's all they wanted to be shown on screen. And with the updated infield graphics adding Bob Dixon's 143 to that list for retired numbers at Rolling Thunder. And it's cool to see Tom out here.
It certainly is. It was nice to see his name appear on the grid when the random qualifying draw was finally settled out. He attempted to qualify last week, but was not able to race his way in. So nice to see that 45 Batmobile machine out here tonight. Nice to see Rod out here too. Second start for him this season at number 19.
Yeah, didn't make the race last week. Wasn't fast enough in qualifying. And he's always said too, he's not a huge fan of super speedway racing, but once he got out here with these guys, it changed his mind. He goes, man, the crew on Thursday is something else. I'm like, yeah, we're spoiled rotten. We get to watch this and call this. These guys know how to do it.
Got a battle for the lead here. Bob Seminara underneath Wesley. Seminara getting a nice push there from Chuck McClure, and at the line, I believe it's going to be the 712. Yes, it is.
And by about half a car length, both of these drivers, Seminara and Wesley, former winners last season, former playoff contenders. It's all Chevrolets currently on that inside line. 5 Chevrolet bow ties before you get to the Dodge of Richard Martin. It's fairly even here, though. Some good pushes on the top side there. The 8 connection, I guess we could say there. The 8 pushing the 88. Glenn Harris was able to pretty much down the entire back straightaway keep Grant Wesley alongside of Bob Seminara. Seminara edges ahead with a shorter way around through the corner. Let's see if that middle line can surge back up alongside here through the tri-oval.
One car out of line on the outside right there. I think it was Pat McCarsky. And then
Not sure if he got shuffled out or if he moved out of line to drop to the rear of the field. But to your point, he's up there all by himself, no help, and he will drop to the rear of this entire lead pack. We're kind of gridlocked for the moment up here at the front. 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back through the field. Seminara trying to get the inside line going, Wesley trying to get the outside line going, and oh, by the way, mentioned that there were 9 drivers that stayed out under that only caution so far. We're not too far away from when they're going to have to start thinking about coming to pit road, and I believe the highest run of those drivers right now would be the 17 of Chuck McClure.
Oh, wow, and then you got Tim Nofsker right behind him, who also stayed out. Second and third cars on the inside line right there. That could get hairy.
So what would the window be for that? Because usually it's 19, but we were under caution for a few. So that'll extend it to what, like 21 maybe?
I would say about 21. I'd be surprised if they could go as far as 22 because they normally now only run 2 laps under caution with the expedited EXE that they've got.
Mm-hmm.
So they, with all drivers on the lead lap, they probably would have opened pit road once and then gone green the following lap. So I would be very surprised if anyone went past 21, at least of those that stayed out.
I think I saw somebody come down pit road already. If maybe, I don't know if I'm just seeing things, but
it doesn't look like there's anybody there.
I'm showing empty pit road.
Okay, I guess I'm just seeing things.
I mean, the pace car's down there, so you're not wrong.
I thought I saw a black car coming down there, but I guess it just got low on the track and got back up.
I think we got some radios lighting up. I think we got some drivers pitting. Chuck McClure, Tim Nofsker, Craig Hagley, Bernie Mobbs, Mark Paglia, Denny Carroll, and Doug Hulick. Those were the drivers that stayed out along with Keith Bynum under that caution. And looks like just about every single driver I named off coming in. Add also the 21 of Randy Wan, our makeshift pole sitter, I guess you could say, Bobby Farrell, coming in as well. We were banging doors coming down pit lane there. Mark Paglia and Denny Carroll both managed to make it to their respective stalls, it looks like, though. So now for these drivers, jury's out really as to when they pit. They could pit this time by. They could probably make it as far as lap 23, lap 24, depending on how much they save during the course of this run.
Don't see anybody peeling off this time by.
Something must have happened towards the rear of the field because we've got a couple of drivers that are off the pace. Ooh, there was some smoke coming off of pit lane. Doesn't look like anybody spun. Might have been somebody wheel spinning trying to get from first to second gear. I'm not certain that maybe Brian Wolf and Billy Ellison, remember they were involved in that first caution. Maybe a little bit of aero damage for those cars. Damaged enough that they're not able to stay in the lead pack without some assistance from behind. That might be why Pat McCarskey actually dropped in the back, as we see him as the wingman for the 26.
That's all the looks of it right now. Those drivers that came down pit road, they do not want to see right now as a caution.
A lot of them actually came right out here ahead of the leader.
I say currently
Oscar,
focused
McClure,
on the leader. But
Hagley, Carroll, Mobbs, Hulick, Watt, and Hagley, literally all right there in front of them. The leader's the 8th car in line.
Okay, these guys would love to see a caution right now then, if that's the case. I didn't realize they were right there in front of the leader.
I think Seminara might be pitting this time by. He was able to get down to the inside of the racetrack there.
Yep, here he comes. Ken Roberts coming right behind him right there. Denny Carroll. Grant Wesley.
Wow, that's a hot pit by the 712. Holy moly. Keep an eye on the board and see if you got hit with a black flag on that one.
Looks like just about everybody made it on safely. I was puzzled as to why Denny Carroll came back down with this group. He had already pit. Race officials have hit the 41 with a black flag for speeding first time by, so he's having to serve a pass-through.
Now this actually could work out in favor of the guys that just came down pit road. Now that they were able to stay ahead of the race leader at the time.
That would be Brian Schilling, who more than likely will be coming down pit road this time by. along with Greg Palmer, Terry Bombard, Michael Norman, Ulysses Sandoval. Ooh, we are 3, we are 4. Somebody went way wide there. I think that might have been Cody Lamas. Oh, Rodney Sullen's great save as he nearly went across the nose of Dennis McCarthy.
Man, these guys are good.
Man, I was nervous and I wasn't even out there racing. I mean, man, that was
hilarious.
I was going to say, am I the only one that tenses up every time these guys pit?
I love it, man. It's not easy to do that. You think you're coming out of turn 4, probably doing 200, maybe 203, and they got to get it down to 55. And they do it surrounded by 15 other cars.
And more than likely, when they hit the brakes, they're still going about 70 miles per hour. With the art of hot pitting, they don't have to let off the brake until that 55 miles per hour. So try doing that when you're 4 wide.
I will always be impressed by that. Green flag pit stops have never been my strong suit. So these guys that can pull it off to perfection like that, just my hat's off to them.
Yeah, the fact that Senator didn't get a black flag, he was on the grass coming in there so quick. John Godfrey can only make this thing so wide. And, they're still using all the real estate. It looks like the 55 is being shown black.
Yeah, he would have cycled out, looks like, to second place here behind Bob Seminara. But he's going to have to make the trip to pit road. He's going to do it right here. Was able to find enough space in front of Brian Schilling to make the duck down onto pit lane. That's a tough break there for Ken Roberts. We mentioned about the fact he coming into this race was the only driver to have finished in the top 5 in both races to start out the season. One of only 4 drivers that has scored a top 10 in every race. The other ones would have been Nofsker, Kelly Causey, and Michael Norman. Obviously, Causey not in the field tonight, so that top 10 streak would come to an end for him.
And he had to do that from 26th position, so.
You mentioned Michael Norman, just told me over whisper right there that there were quite a few cars that got a black flag under that. After that round of green flag pit stops, one of them was Ulysses Sandoval.
Yeah, I am noticing a number of drivers. They didn't show up on our scoring, but I am noticing a number of drivers that are a long ways back that must have had to serve pass-throughs. I see Glenn Harris is back there. He was up in the top 10 when the cycle began. Tim Anderson, Robert Spring also back in that area as well. So it looks like, about a half dozen drivers got hit with penalties here on this first cycle of green flag pit stops. And what was a large pack of about 35 to 38 drivers, all of a sudden our lead group has evaporated down to only 17 drivers in this lead pack, from Seminara back to Donnie Garrett.
That's the power of green flag pit stops right there, and throw in, the pit road speeding penalties. I mean, that's what really breaks up the pack, as we see right now.
So Seminara shows the way. Wesley in second. Joe DeSpirito there in the third position. Won last season's finale race. Bernie Mobbs started this race from the outside of the front row. In the fourth spot, Brian Schilling, who I believe up to this point would have picked up the most spots from his starting position. Rolled off 36th, now in 5th. Right behind him, Greg Palmer. Remember, we didn't see Greg take the green flag to kick off the season, but last week, a top 5 run has him sitting 25th in points and looking for another solid outing here tonight to continue to climb up through the standings. As there you see Denny Carroll and Billy Ellis are both going a lap down. They would be the first 2 cars 1 lap down, and they would get the lucky dogs should we get a caution and no other drivers get lapped in the interim.
See, lap traffic's interesting in this situation because these guys aren't damaged. They just had to serve penalties, probably. And so they're still able to roll with these guys and add drafting help.
26 might have a little bit of damage. He was involved in that accident right there. Might have some cosmetic damage, but...
Oh, right, Elisar, yeah.
Looks like Denny Carroll was able to tuck in front of Donnie Garrett. Yeah, to your point, Kyle, it looks like the 26, who had actually, just prior to the green flag pit stop cycle, was losing the lead pack. It looks like he's got some type of aero damage and has not been able to latch on to the 77. Behind them, you got the second group. Right now, scoring is showing them about 3.5 seconds behind the race leader. Graham McDonald leading that pack with Rodney Sullins, Javier Negron, Jeremy Jeffries in this group, Cody Lamas. I think a lot of these drivers were a part of that second group where we saw the 3, 4, almost 5 wide, and maybe with all those drivers coming to pit lane, they didn't get the optimal entry, slowed up a little bit more than some of the drivers up in this lead group, and were not able to eventually merge into one big pack. But if they can keep this orderly single file, I'm looking at lap times right now, they're running anywhere from 0.2 to 0.4 faster than this lead group. So I think they've got a good shot of catching them, especially if this lead group continues to do what they're doing right now, and that's race side by side.
Have the top 4 running single file, but you see Brian Schilling trying to lead an outside line right there. He's got Richard Martin behind him, along with Tim Knopfsker, Chuck McClure, Mark Pagula, and a few others back there. Yeah, these guys aren't content to just ride right now.
And a big reason for that, when they come around and hit the stripe, we're going to have 2 laps to go, and then stage points are getting handed out. Conclusion of lap 33. So if you've got that opportunity to improve your position even by 1 spot, that would be 1 extra point allotted to you in terms of the stage points here. So things might get very racy in the next lap and a half.
I think that's what Demar did, because he was rolling pretty good with Schilling, but decided to bail on him and actually gain that spot.
Woo!
What's your strategy right now? If you're already in the top 10, are you content with getting an extra 3 or 4 points, or do you try to push it and get a few more?
I think I go back to the Ken Roberts strategy from last week, where he said I was content to ride in second because if I stepped out to make a move, I was going to fade outside of the top 10. Look what's happened to Demar. He made the move, he got shuffled out, and he may not even get stage points now.
He was trying, but
doesn't have any friends up there. Couple more cars going a lap down right there. Can't tell which 2 those are, but
It's like Robert Spring and Brian Wolf. Schilling going to make a move here on Bernie Mobbs. We're coming around here to the halfway point. When they hit the stripe, top 10. Going to get stage points. Seminara trying to cash in on 10 valuable bonus points for winning the stage.
that's such a cool little added bonus, a halfway marker like that. So full points go to the 712.
Full added bonus, but it took a little getting used to. I think, what was it? I think it was in the season opener. Somebody said, I came to pit road. They had a caution that came out around the midway point. Someone came to pit road, said, I completely forgot that we're paying out stage points at the halfway this season.
Was that Kazi? I think
it might have been.
We were confused as to why he would pit, but that's the thing. You just, oh yeah, whoops. It was like in 6th place or something.
So it looks like the top 10 when they cross the line there. Bob Seminara, Grant Wesley, Joe DeSpirito, Brian Schilling, Bernie Mobbs. That was your top 5. Then Knopfsker, McClure, Paglia, Metallic, and Hagley cashing in on stage points here tonight at the halfway point.
yeah, that move definitely did not work out for Richard Martin, as he's mentioned. He's running right there, looked like somewhere right in the middle of the top 10 in a good position to get some points, but decided to risk it, made a move, nobody went with him, and missed out on getting some bonus points there.
Ultimately crossed the line to receive the halfway point green and white checkers, I guess you could say, 13th place. Now Bernie Mobbs getting shuffled out there on the inside line. Knopfsker trying to make a move, but he'll be able to find a way back up in front of Brian Schilling. Will not suffer the same fate. More cars about to be lapped. That's Glenn Harris and Tim Anderson, that duo. And the lucky dog position continues to constantly shift with more and more cars that get put a lap down. Formerly it was Denny Carroll and Billy Elliser. Then it was Robert Spring and Brian Wolf. Now it's Glenn Harris and Tim Anderson. I was just checking in the lap times of that second group. It seems to have evened out now between them and this lead pack. The goal, if you are Graham McDonald leading this second pack, is to get within 1.5 seconds of the trailing car. Then you'll be able to get the toe off of that last car of the lead pack, and it will pull you right up into the group. They've been very orderly here, but the other thing that we have to remember too is we're not that far away from when they're going to have to start thinking about coming back down pit road, and that's going to break the field up again.
I was just about to say, I don't think it's going to take too long for this second group to catch that lead pack, but you bring up a good point right there with pit stops. You know, when are they going to start? Are they going to be able to get to that pack in time before the pit stops?
So Bob Seminara, who's leading the front pack, his last lap was a 48.0. Graham McDonald, who's leading this second group, last time by 47.8. So they're about 0.2 quicker. When we checked in the previous time, they were about 3.5 seconds behind the first pack. They're now 2.6, so they are making steady progress. The question is, will it be too little too late once we eventually end up having pit stops again here, as more drivers about to be lapped? A couple of drivers that had to serve those early speeding penalties, Ken Roberts and Ulysses Sandoval. Mention about Ken, second in points. Ulysses came into this race 10th in the standings too, so a couple of drivers that had really done well to kick off the season. Just going a little over the speed limit here and finding themselves now trapped a lap down. We normally say if you're going to make those mistakes, make them earlier on in the race so that way you have more laps to be able to potentially get the lucky dog, get back into the conversation. But the way things are trending right now, I don't know. Are they going to get that opportunity here? Because we've only had the initial caution. We've been green since then, and we're getting ready for some more pit stops. I think actually some drivers might be coming down this time.
Here comes, Seminara, Despirito, Knopsker, McClure.
Couple from the second pack. Seminara using the lawn again.
He did. He went way wide there, carrying a lot of speed.
Cooling those tires down.
That's one way to slow your car down. Huh?
Not sure the grass really slows the car down, though.
Would cool the tires off would be about it.
Would. But well, I was going to say, what good does that do if you're not going to change them? But it does actually look like Seminara is changing his tires here. Ooh, Bernie Mobbs, who had that first pit stall there.
Overshot there a little
just a bit.
I wonder if we get John Godfrey to widen it out again to 5 lanes, if they would be able to keep it on the tarmac. Probably not.
Let's just pave the entire infield and move the commitment cone to like the middle of the tri-oval. I think that'll work.
There you go. They'll still find a way to make it exciting.
They will, yeah. You give them all that room, and then we'll be calling them 18 wide coming to pit road.
That's like Pocono's front straightaway. It's just, it's 7 miles of just paved track. You basically come out of the turn and be about 23 cars wide if you really wanted to. A lot of other tracks have a lot of tarmac right there too, but it's just funny. Pocono just looks like it's so wide on that front straightaway and in the pit entrance.
That front straightaway is so long too. It just adds to it.
Yeah.
Had a close moment there for Josh Metallic, running in third position right now, but he, for a brief moment, blinked in and out. Fortunately for him, it happened on the back straightaway, so when he reappeared, he still would be scored in the third spot. If that had been on the other side of the racetrack, he potentially might have reappeared after the start-finish line. I'm not sure that scoring would have given him that lap completed.
Did that not happen to him last week too? I remember him disappearing, and it was the same deal. He kind of disappeared for a second or two, and it was on the back straight away.
I think last week it was Chuck McClure that was having those issues.
It was, yes.
Okay.
Here comes Grant to pit road. Donnie Garrett, Richard Martin, along with a couple of lap cars there, Roberts, Anderson, and Wolf. I forgot that Donnie rolled off the grid from next to last, so he's got one of those first pit stalls at the entrance of pit lane. Had to get that thing woed down, but hit his marks. Grant's got the 6th stall down here, closer towards the exit of pit road.
Haven't had any reports of speeding penalties, have we?
Not as of yet.
Not according to GNL, but we do know that can be wrong.
Looks like Schilling and Metallic will go an extra lap, but Palmer will lead in this group. Whoa, really close. Oh! Javier Negron tagged the 8 of Glenn Harris. He's going to get into Graham McDonald. And Rodney Sullins really had to lock him up too, because he was nearly the one to make contact with the back of the Krispy Kreme Chevrolet. Looks like they've got it all straightened out here, but that's going to hold up a couple of these drivers that were in that second pack trying to catch the lead group.
And green flag remains.
And it looks like Robert Spring missed his pit stall, having to back up. Looks like Schilling in this time. And that pack will make it on orderly there. Metallic, Terry Bombard, Michael Norman, Ulysses Samuel, Cody Lamas were a part of that. Jeff Cavello, Rod Weston in as well. And just ahead of them was the 029 of Brian Wolf. Looked like that was a regularly scheduled stop for him.
I don't know about that, because he was in a couple laps ago. He may have got hit
Oh,
with
okay.
penalty. Yeah, because he came in with Garrett. Because I actually followed Brian out of the pits on his roof cam, so there's no reason for him to still be coming out again. The GNL not reporting the black flags.
I think we just saw running right behind the 26 of Billy Elliser. I believe that was Bob Seminara, who was the race leader before the pit stops. And makes me wonder, was he hit with something or?
Oh yeah, he's in the 25th position. Scoring right now showing him on the tail end of the lead lap. Not sure if maybe he got... Oh, nope, looks like he actually came down pit road for a pass-through, so...
Wow.
That didn't show up on our
No.
our scoring either. But, I mean, you mentioned he looked like he came in pretty hot the first time. He definitely looked like he came in hot the second time, went out into the grass, and Beating Police got him. He's now back in the 25th position after so far leading a race-high 21 laps this evening.
So there's your race leader. Nope, not anymore. Grant Wesley. Okay.
Just double checking. Yeah, I believe Grant, now with the race lead, would be trying to break the tie for second most laps this evening led. He and Craig Hagley, just before that pit stop cycle was complete, had 7 laps led each. So Grant will now go into second most laps led, with Donnie Garrett right behind him, Richard Martin, Josh Metallic, Terry Bombard going to be the top 5, then Despirito, McClure, I believe Brian Schilling is in 8th with Mark Pagley and Greg Palmer, your top 10. You'll notice a couple of drivers in between, the 17 of McClure in 7th and the 28 of Mark Pagley in 8th, the 21 of Randy Waugh, and the 55 of Ken Roberts. They are right now the first two cars one lap down, hoping, praying that a caution can save them and get them back on the lead lap with the free pass.
Fastest car or fastest lap so far tonight, Bernie Mobbs. 202.4 mile an hour average. 47.258 second lap.
And Bernie right now back in the 18th position. Has spent most of this race up inside of the top 10. Had that good starting track position on the outside of the front row. So I would assume that that lap time put down maybe within the last 3 to 4 laps here, having the benefit of draft. Ken Roberts, he may be a lap down, but he is trying to be the general leading the charge here on that outside line. Mark Paglia, Greg Palmer, Rodney Sullins all up there with him. Jeremy Jeffries and Ulysses Sandoval. Well, Jeremy was up there for a moment. He's now dipped to the inside and actually going to go 3 wide as he puts the 21 of Randy Waugh in the middle. Mentioned it earlier, but really nice to see that number 21 in the field here this evening. Didn't have him on track last week with Corey in the hospital. Certainly hope that Corey is doing a lot better, tuned in here, and as we established last week, watching his number 1 guy out here.
On board with Randy's doing what he sees.
It's giving it a good run right now, right in the middle of this lead pack. So we have a battle for the lead. Richard Martin underneath Grant Wesley.
You can't give a manufacturer advantage in terms of the nose there at the line. They're both Dodges. But scoring says it was Richard Martin that led that lap. 2 1/1000ths of a second for his first lap led this evening. And how about 3 wide? Lap car of Ken Roberts, high, wide, and handsome, leading Mark Paglia to the front.
Boy, they were single file about 2 laps ago. I don't know what happened here. Somebody rang the dinner bell or something, because they're really going at it now.
Based off of when that green flag pit stop cycle took place, they still have 1 more trip to pit road. It's going to be with less than 10 to go. I would venture to say it might be within the 5 laps to go range. And normally when we end up having that final pit stop in that window, we end up having a wide range of strategies. Sometimes drivers will go as long as they possibly can, come down and take on that half can, maybe even just a splash of fuel. Other drivers, they'll pit a little bit earlier and take on a can of fuel. So it'll be really interesting to see if we continue to trend green, what side of that strategy all these drivers decide to be on. And we know if it comes down to fuel strategy, this guy will not be afraid to gamble. We've seen in the last couple of seasons Richard Martin pull off some fuel strategy miracles. Former champion of the series, the only driver since FRN and Tarnation TV have broadcasted these races to win a championship without winning a single race in that championship season. And that was with a playoff format as well. I believe it was the first season that they implemented the 2-race final round.
Just goes to show you, consistency will always be a very powerful thing in this series. And racing in general, honestly.
So I don't know how he managed to do this. This is very unusual for a super speedway. Normally, when we have a small pack of race cars after a cycle of pit stops, the lead pack will actually get smaller after the next cycle. We actually gained a couple of cars. We went from a 17-car pack now to a 19-car pack all on the lead lap here with a couple of lap cars intermingled. So I don't know how we managed to increase the ranks here. That normally doesn't happen.
Might be the first I've heard of something like that happening. That is unreal.
And Ulysses Sandoval in that Bush tribute running that M&M's rig, he's leading that high line, but he's one lap down in 30th. And, being pushed by Ken Roberts, who's also one lap down.
Yep, those two right now are in the free pass positions. The driver they would have to be concerned about now would be the 40 of Javier Negron. Previously, it would have been the 21 of Randy Waugh, but I just noticed him actually dive onto pit road this last time by.
Something happened
also
to Sheck as well in the 12. Oh, Randy
Denny
Waugh,
Carroll.
engine problems. Retired for a gearbox.
Oh, wow.
The 21.
I wonder if that happened right off of turn 4. If it did, very lucky for him to be able to then make the dive onto pit lane, but that's a tough break. And I just also noticed Denny Carroll is out of the race. He's going to finish 40th here tonight, so the struggling start to the season continues for him. This will be his second DNF in the first 3 races.
Watching the replay on board with the 21. Heads to pit road under power. It says he retired with an engine failure, but...
So the only thing I can possibly think of that sometimes what the sim will do is if you've lost a gear at any point during the race and then retire to the race, it will show that as the reason for retirement. So Randy may have lost second or third gear on a restart or maybe leaving pit road, and so the scoring will indicate that is the reason he retired. Here we go. This is what I was talking about. We're within the window where these drivers can make it on 1 can of fuel, and you see about a half dozen drivers coming to pit road here and now rather than waiting to maybe reach a half can of fuel.
Well, and we've seen pit stops happening within the span of 5, 6, 7 laps just because of how green it's been the whole time. Everybody's on a different pace right now. So everybody's got different strategies or 10 to go, who knows? They all need to come in one more time for sure.
Now we have the first 2 cars in this lead pack right there are a lap down. Ulysses Sandoval and Ken Roberts.
Well, actually, right now, they'd be on the tail end of the lead lap ahead of Mark Paglia. So if a caution came out, they'd be able to cycle around on the lead lap, and that would put Tim Anderson and Javier Negron in the free pass positions. So 4 drivers would really benefit from a caution right now.
They're lapping a couple of fresh ones there. Makarski, Mangialardi, and... Oh, who's the other one there?
I think it was Sean Turner in the 136. So this group being led by Mark Paglia, they should be able to go maybe until around, I think if my math's correct, until around lap 59, lap 60, if they so chose, which would put them right on the cusp of probably being able to make it the rest of the way with a half can of fuel.
Tim Anderson all by himself to pit. '28 is the leader, Mark Paglia.
And I think for these group of drivers, I think that they are able to go as far as they are because of the fact that they came to pit road under our only caution. You notice that some of the drivers that pit with that group of 6, Tim Knopsker, Chuck McClure, they were some of the drivers that actually stayed out when that caution waved. So I don't think they could have made it to the window where they could have taken on a half can of fuel. They were committed. They had to take a full can. As here we go. Paglia is in. Ken Roberts. Craig Hagley, Keith Bynum. Oh, Hagley,
boy.
Way too hot. Gonna tag Bynum from behind.
Yeah, I saw that coming right there. I was just wondering if they'd be able to get slowed down in time and not make contact, but 82 right into the back of the 63, and that's going to hurt them big time.
The strategy of 4 cars together isn't bad. You can produce some pretty good speed with a 4-car pack. Problem is, though, with that contact there, there's no way all 4 of them are going to be leaving together.
Couple more, Seminara, Farrell.
And now Greg Palmer inherits the race lead, but I think he's pitting this time. This is going to be a large pack of race cars here. Terry Bombard out into the grass. That's okay. He brings it back onto the pit road as long as he got that thing
Smooth.
woed down.
Woed down or woed up?
That's a good question.
I think it means the same thing. I never even
We
thought
could
of
have a
that.
debate about that
Yeah.
for the rest of this race.
Now I've been running the numbers. I believe it's woed down, but I also believe it's woed up.
Might be
Brian
woed
Wolf.
down if it's a car, woed up if it's a horse. I'm not sure.
Maybe it depends on the method of transport. Oh, Wolf overshot a little bit.
First
He
one
had
I-
it back up.
First one I ever remember hearing use the term "woed up" was Jeff Burton, probably sometime at a race at Pocono, I believe it was, and it just kind of stuck from there, I guess.
Saw Hagley headed back down pit road, probably serving his, because he got into the back of Bynum, causing an incident there, serving his penalty.
So
Race
now the
leader
big
77.
question is this group here, which only consists of Donnie Garrett and Brian Schilling of the lead lap cars. How much further can they go running in that middle line? So it doesn't look like they're, well, never mind. Making me out, did Donnie Garrett.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to maybe make another circuit, but Donnie going to dive down to the bottom. He's going to come in all by his lonesome. Brian Schilling will be pitting all by his lonesome as well when he eventually makes the dive, which probably be this time by, I don't know, with only one
Oy,
car
oy, oy.
coming down pit road and no drafting help. I don't know if you're going to find yourself merged out with the lead pack here or not.
Brian Schilling trying a different kind of fuel strategy. Where have we seen this before?
Yeah, right?
They don't have a lot of laps left to figure this out. There's only 3.5, pretty much.
Well, right now, Grant Wesley is being shown the leader of the second group of those that have already pit, with Greg Palmer, Jeremy Jeffries, Michael Norman, Rodney Sullins.
Oh, somebody tagged the wall up there. Nope, they held on to it. Looked like Bynum.
A
Turner,
group of three,
McCarsky, and Mangialardi to the pits.
Yep. So those three all working together there as the leaders were making their way around.
Schilling staying out there. He's trying to draft off that 31. He can't possibly trying to go the rest of the way.
I just don't. This is Brian Schilling we're talking about, but I just don't see it. With the last time that he came to pit road, I just don't see him being able to make it. Now, the only thing I can possibly think of, and this might be his thinking, is maybe he catches a caution with 3 to go and the race ends under yellow so he can coast those final 3 laps. But I think he's got to be on pit road within the next lap or two. Javier
It's out
Negron
again.
coming in.
Wow. Garrett, who's being... Wow, okay, so who's in second place?
Right now, it'd be Grant Wesley. And I think if you're
Grant
this group
Wesley.
with Wesley and company, I think you got to start racing it up as if this is for the win, just in case Brian Schilling cannot make it on fuel.
32 seconds in front.
They're not going to catch him. There's no way they're going to catch them just on raw speed. Brian's got too many cars in that group with him. They need to hope that he runs out of fuel here. But then the question is, too, where would Brian run out of fuel? If he runs out of fuel off of turn 4, does he have enough space to be able to coast
goes.
back to the line? There he
Here's
comes.
pitting. Okay.
Wow. That's a long way, so...
Now, the field's coming out of turn 2. Brian should only have to take a splash of fuel here, which is literally
he's
about
already
maybe
going
2 to
again,
3
yeah.
seconds. He might get out ahead of this group,
They're going to train wreck
but they're
him,
going to catch him.
though. Yeah, they're going to be railroaded. We're riding on board right now with Schilling. Right on 54 mile an hour.
He's just now going to hit the start-finish line, and Wesley and company are midway through the tri-oval, so they're going to swing around him pretty quick. I'm not even sure Brian's going to be able to be up to speed and merge with this lead group.
He's going to have some drafting help from Ulysses Sandoval, but I don't think that's going to... No, that's not going to help out.
He'll move up to the third line.
he
This
had
is the
to.
battle for the win right here.
Yes,
Greg
it is.
Palmer side by side with Grant Wesley.
Hey, both of these drivers have been to victory lane this season already, or not this season, this week I should say. Grant winning the Bare Bones Racing Series event this past Monday night, won the iRacing event as well on Tuesday, and Rodney last night won at the Brickyard in the NR88 Series. So looking to try and, for Grant, get his third win of the week, or for Rodney, his second win on back-to-back nights. Look at Michael Norman right there in the third position, going for another top 10 finish here as the white flag is in the air.
Trying to come back on the bottom right there. Greg Palmer still with help from Jeremy Jeffries.
Jeremy is shoving that 22 as well. He got him loose just
Here
a little
comes
while
Norman
ago.
to the outside.
Oh boy,
He's
got drafting help. Josh
Got
Metallic
Josh-
up there.
Oh, they're making a run too.
Grant
Palmer might go
McDonald
up.
moved from the top down to the bottom. Where does Greg Palmer decide to go? He's going to go up top. Got an engine failure down there in the bottom, but it doesn't matter. This is going to be close.
Norman trying to get his first win here, getting a good push from Metallic. Oh, here they come.
Side by side,
Oh,
nose to nose, wheel
no.
to wheel. Grant's going to barely get him by a splitter.
Wow.
Unbelievable. 0.01.
Wow.
Grant Wesley. Wow. Michael, it's going to be on cloud 9 after that one in that interview, I think.
6/1000ths of a second. What a battle there at the end. By far the closest finish so far of season 68. And Grant Wesley will pick up his
Fantastic.
first victory of the season. That'll be Dodge's first victory as well. So far, the first two races, it's been Chevrolets that have gone to victory lane. We were guaranteed a non-Chevy victory, depending on whether it was going to be Grant or Michael who got their nose to the start-finish line first. But Grant, who came into this race fourth in the point standings, may be the points leader when we leave here tonight. We'll have to wait and see, but he now knows that he's locked himself into the playoffs with this win.
One yellow flag for 3 laps tonight. Phenomenal
Incredible.
race.
Incredible. For a super speedway series,
Yeah.
honestly, this should not be happening. 2-3 races into the season, there should not be one caution at a super speedway, but they've done it in back-to-back weeks.
That's the skill of these drivers right here.
It really is.
Show me a more competitive, a better super speedway series than this one right here. I
It's
don't think
tough.
you can.
I can think of a couple that would be a close second, but I do believe this has to be number 1.
Wow, an incredible finish there. I mean, we had a photo finish for the win. We had a photo finish for third, photo finish for fifth. I mean, literally, it came down to thousandths of a second for about 3-4 different positions inside of the top 10 there coming to the start-finish line.
How about Michael? I mean, coming out of really nowhere to, almost get the victory here.
3 straight races that he's finished in the top 10, his second top 5 on the season as well. And Michael Norman definitely has hit the consistency here to kick off the season.
And Michael just told me that he's going to step away for a minute or so. So if we can, now we're going to start interviews here in just a short time. So
Yep, no problem on that.
I do a pretty good Michael Norman impression if you want me to do it for him.
Oh, you can you fake a Florida accent?
Sure.
Oh, okay, perfect.
It might sound like Kermit the Frog, but I'll do it.
Well, we're going to see if we can dial up our podium finishers here tonight.
who was third? Was it Rodney?
Rodney Sullins barely by 7/1000ths of a second was able to get the final podium spots. Let's see if we can dial him up. Hey, Rodney, it's the guys up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, I do. What's going on, guys?
Hey, wild race here tonight. Only one caution in race number 3. This early on in the season, we're already talking about execution on pit road, but put all that in the rearview mirror with what we got treated to here in the closing stages. Looked like it was going to come down to who took on a can, who took on a half can of fuel. You find yourself up here in this lead pack, side by side, coming to the line, double three wide. You were kind of boxed in there, but in that final 2 or 3 laps, was there a scenario that you saw that maybe you could have taken the chance and been having this 38 parked in victory lane instead?
Well, I made a move on the backstretch, got down there, and Greg and Grant dropped down in front of me, which kind of expected, and just kind of rode there, moved back up, and then Grant moved back up in front of me. So I was running second there, as you could tell, the last few laps, and sorry, I got guys talking. Sorry, there we go. So I was just gonna run there and then try to make a move, and then I looked up and Michael had moved up, and Josh went with him. So they kind of, I was a little too late. I was too late to make my move, but I didn't know if they were going to do it that soon. So it was just at that point, stick with Grant and push all I could push, and hope for a second or third.
Obviously, we've got the full 9-race regular season to work with before we put the playoffs together, but a lot of drivers, including yourself, season hasn't started out quite the way that you would have liked. Tonight, you score your first top 10. You were 19th in points coming into this evening, so how good does it feel to at least come out of here on the plus side with a podium finish, and how do you think this might set the tone for the remainder of the regular season? Is this the turning point where the luck starts to change?
Well, I hope so. It's kind of a catch-22 here. I'm missing next week. It's my annual trip to the Women's College World Series, so I won't be here next week. So I really was hoping to get a win, because we have this year in the points to lock in if you're in the top 20. Yes, the first couple of races have not went my way. I was lucky to finish where I did the first race with the rear end going on my car. I don't even remember what happened last week, and I wound up with a bad finish. So I was really looking at the last few laps there like, this is a shot to get you a win and then take a little pressure off missing next week. But it helps, obviously, to get up there and finish on the podium, get some good points. I've got my work cut out for me, though, when I get back. So momentum, yeah, I've got it. You know, you hope to have it next week, but not going to be here. So hopefully I can sleep on it and keep it around for 2 weeks from now.
Well, hey, when we see you back in a couple of weeks' time, you'll still have more than half the regular season to be able to work with. A great start here to be able to start climbing up through the standings with this podium finish here tonight. Rodney, congratulations on a job well done. Before I let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Oh, thank you, Seth. Kyle, can't wait to go back and watch this race on Flat Out Racing Network with Blaine and Tarnation TV producing the broadcast. I appreciate you guys. You guys do a great job. Obviously, Rolling Thunder Gaming with Sean Prime, Jeremy, and Sheck, and Josh, and the owners here. It's a great place to race. I've said it many, many times. One of the greatest places to race here. Very well organized. Want to thank Black Rifle Coffee, Andy's, Wickers, my RPM teammates, Josh and Tim for letting me still hang around on these Thursday nights and help admin. Congrats, Grant. We still miss Bones. I had a good friend pass away today. Actually, he passed away Tuesday, and they found him today. So I was Tracy Surge Thompson. Me and him were roommates in an apartment when we were younger. So I hated to hear that. I didn't want to. There's a part of me that says you'll get this. It's part of me didn't want to win tonight because I'm like, man, I don't want a friend to win, to die just so I can win a race, because that's what happened. You know, here a while back with my friend Darren House. But anyway, our prayers are with him and his family. Dad, Eric, Kevin, hope you guys enjoyed the race. I appreciate you for watching. Thanks, guys.
Well, that's Rodney Sullivan's solid third place here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. congratulations on the great run, and we look forward to seeing you back on track in a couple of weeks' time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys.
We ended up having 3 different manufacturers finish inside of the top 3. Rodney representing the Chevrolet camp. Let's dial up the highest finishing Ford, our runner-up finisher, Michael Norman. Hey, Michael, as the guys up here in the broadcast booth, you got a copy?
Hey, what's up, guys?
All right, so 2 questions for you.
This time.
You didn't. You waited patiently. Got 2 questions. First off, has the adrenaline level lowered yet? And secondly, are you going to spend this week lobbying to Ford to make the nose just a little bit longer for next time?
No, actually, in the time it took to get my interview, I actually went back to watch that final lap there, and I realized that it was honestly just me and Josh at the top. So I kind of figured it was going to happen, but I was just like, I got to hope and got to do something. And the fact that Grant didn't try to come up to block, that was kind of surprising myself. But yeah, that was honestly the most fun I've had in quite a while.
You've had an incredible start to the season as well. I mean, 3 straight top 10s. This your second top 5 in the first 3 races, sitting 3rd in the point standings. I remember that when we initially started this, you were in the booth, you saw how much fun this was, you got behind the wheel, and now we have you racing full time. Have you been learning out there? Because it definitely seems like whatever you're learning, you've been taking to heart with the consistent finishes here.
Yeah, I was actually really upset at myself at the very beginning of this race because the very first pit stop, which was the one under caution, I had a speeding penalty. Had to go all the way to the back, and then I was just getting frustrated, honestly, because I couldn't pick the line that would work. You know, I would continue to pick a line, and it would just die, and I was getting so frustrated. And I mean, I now understand why they stretched the word patience. So I was just doing my best there and riding around and just kind of picked the line. I was getting good pit stops, so I think I finally learned how to hot pit because I was able to get on and off.
Now, I remember hearing you say over whisper that on that final pit stop that you just elected for a splash of fuel there at the end to gain some track position. Was it showing you that you were good to go on fuel for the rest of the way late in the going, or did you just decide, heck with it, I'm just going to make a move and see what happens?
I was fighting it. I was running out regardless. I was just going to push it till I ran out. I was splash all the way those last couple of laps. It blinked to none once, but I know that when you do the splat, when it says splash, that you're not necessarily gonna run out. So I was just like, okay, well, let's see what happens. And on the last lap, I said, screw it, I'm going for it, and I jumped up to the outside and got this number 30 into second place.
But made for a heck of a finish here tonight. Your best finish so far in this series. Hey, maybe next week we see you get that 1 position better, but what a great start to the season for you. 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s in these first 3 races. Michael, congratulations on the great run here tonight. Exciting finish for us to be able to observe up here in the booth, and we'll now give you the opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Who painted the car? I'm just curious. Sorry to interrupt. Who painted your car? Is that a Seth Cole?
Yep.
There it is.
That is a Seth Cole who painted that car. The Mr. Sam's Spray Wax, which I'm still waiting for mine in the mail. I ordered it a while ago. I figured it would only take a week.
No, I laugh about the fact you're still waiting about it, knowing how the postal service is.
Yeah. But this number 30 was great. Shout out to you, Seth, for painting it for me. Shout out to you guys for commentating. It's always fun to come up here, whether I wreck or if I finish. You know, one way or another, I'm coming up here in the booth to mess with you guys. RTG and allowing me to race here. The fact that now I no longer have to qualify my way in via the last chance qualifier. I am starting next week. I am locked in officially because we start using the top 30 in points for this season, and I believe the bracket challenge might start next week. I don't remember, maybe, but it's just been all fun around, and Kyle for being the guy I can whisper to tell my strategy to and listen to my complaining when it happens. Ulysses for providing some good crew chiefing, and Cody Lamas, who I don't really want to thank, but I'm just going to say his name anyways.
Well, that's Michael Norman. He finishes second place here.
You don't have to move me out. I'll stay up here for you. I'll stay up here with you guys.
Okay, I have to ask while you're here too, Kyle. Are you going to charge Michael money for being his therapist?
You know what? That's a good idea. Now
Yeah.
that you mentioned it.
Lie down in this race car and tell me how you feel.
No, I mean, I don't mean to. He just happens to be on the same whisper as I have, like Ulysses and Cody. But again, it gets frustrating out here when you get stuck in the back and you're trying to pick a line and it just doesn't go anywhere. But
I know
that's super speedway for you.
I know the feeling. I've had plenty of races like that, so yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from on that.
Well, I guess the silver lining in the cloud is you got the black flag under caution rather than under green. So
yes, and I was so scared I was going to get one, especially the second to last pit stop when Josh came up to my inside. I was so close, and I was like, oh my gosh, please don't.
Well, Michael, once again, congratulations on the great run here tonight. Heck of a start to the season, and best of luck next week.
Thank you so much.
And let's see if we can now go down to Victory Lane, dial up the third different winner on the season. Let's get a hold of Grant Wesley.
Granthausen.
Hey, Grant's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
And I'll tell you what, we say it all the time. It always seems like once we have a cycle of pit stops, the 88 either gains a ton of positions or he's leading when it is over. You were able to get the race lead there after the cycle of pit stops were concluded. Had to hold off Michael, Josh, Rodney there in the rearview mirror. Came down to 6/1000ths of a second. Now, Michael mentioned that when they came through the trial, he was surprised you didn't go up to block that outside line. What was the strategy there?
Yeah, I had the 38 behind me. He was pushing really hard. He's always been great help, and I kind of liked where I was. I seen Michael and I think Josh coming up in the third lane. I really didn't know what was going to form behind me. I knew that that I was in the middle. Honestly, I kind of thought that maybe there'd be a group shoot to the bottom, and if they would have shot to the bottom, I probably would have covered that lane. That was kind of my plan, but I was definitely content to stick with the 38, and Michael actually had the lead off of 4 going to the tri-oval. He was just edged out in front of me, and Rodney said he was pushing harder than he should have through the tri-oval. So, it was just really good luck that nothing bad happened there, and we edged out in front.
We saw this
nice and very evil.
We saw this race ultimately come down to that final pit stop, and it's amazing that we can draw the line from that all the way back to the only caution we had tonight. Some drivers electing to stay out, other drivers electing to come to pit road, which put you all on entirely different sequences of how far you could go before making the final pit stop here tonight. How close were you? What did you decide to take on that final pit stop? Because we saw a lot of the drivers that actually did ultimately pit under only yellow. Some came in around 10 to go. Some elected to go as far as around 5 laps left to go.
Yeah, I took half a can, and I ran out doing my burnout. I know there was definitely people on different strategies, but anytime a caution comes out, whether it's 2 laps into the race or what it might be, I always pit first time by. It's just sort of basic strategy, and it's always better to have that fuel if there's another pit stop down the road. So if nothing else, so you have a shorter stop.
The announcement was made this week that the playoff format has changed. Instead of the original 12 drivers making it in on points, there's going to be 16 drivers and then any wild card drivers between 17th through 20th with a victory. So that's 4 more drivers that are going to get added into the playoffs at least, and that also will mean more drivers that will get eliminated each one of the respective rounds. With this victory here tonight, does the strategy maybe change a little bit more from this season as opposed to previous seasons when you had an early win, in the fact that with also the fact we've got 6 regular season races left, there's a lot of opportunity to build up those bonus points, give yourself a cushion, especially in that first round of the postseason?
Oh yeah, bonus points are huge. Definitely. It's awesome, man. Heck, it just hit me. I got to win. That's 3 bonus points going into that. I think last season I had 2 or 3 wins, and they help you a ton in the chase. So while I also want to be the regular season champion, but definitely try to get bonus points. That's the goal.
Well, Grant, it's been an incredible week for you, picking up victories Monday, Tuesday, and now Thursday night. So 75% win rate this week, but getting the victory here tonight that locks you into the playoffs for Thursday nights. Congratulations on a job well done. We'll let you get back to your celebrating here in a moment, but first, floor is yours for Victory Lane. Thank you, sponsors and shout-outs.
Yeah, first off, I'm incredibly sad to hear about Kyle Busch passing away today. That completely caught me off guard. We're kind of limited here in the sim world, but, if I was able, I would definitely be recreating that rowdy bow, on the front stretch. I hope to see many drivers do it in the future. But, Kyle Busch is going to be missed. My heart goes out to his family and Brexton Busch. Hope he sticks with the racing deal. Hope he has a good career ahead of him. On a lighter note, I'd like to thank the owners, Sean Prime, Jeremy Jeffries, Jason Scheck, Josh Metallic, the admins here on Thursday, Josh, Rodney, and Tim, especially to Rodney, who pushed me to the win. Appreciate him doing that, helping me out. FRN, Tarnation TV, thanks to you guys doing everything you do. Kyle, Seth, Blaine, and hey, Mike's in the booth now too. So thanks to you guys, my teammates with XFM, and my friends and family for watching.
That's Grant Wesley, your winner here tonight. Third race of the season of the Talladega Challenge Series. Locks himself into the playoffs and finds himself second in overall standings as well. Might be making a run for that regular season championship with 6 races left to go until the playoffs begin. Congratulations on the win, Grant. Go enjoy it, and best of luck next week, the remainder of this regular season.
Thanks, guys.
Grant Wesley with the victory here tonight. The points currently, Tim Nofsker with a top 10, 10th place here tonight, still holds the points lead. 3 points barely in hand over Grant Wesley. Michael, you currently third in points, 21 points back, with the defending champion from the past 2 seasons, Chuck McClure, in 4th, and Josh Metallic currently in 5th. Looks like the biggest gainer of the night was Rodney Sullins, +8, currently up into the top 12 in the 11th position after his 3rd place performance here this evening.
And I just realized something here with the very sad passing of Kyle Busch. It's kind of fitting that Grant Wesley won this race tonight driving a NOS Energy car. Of course, that was NOS Energy was one of Kyle's sponsors back in what is now the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Had won a good number of races with that sponsor, so kind of a fitting end to this race with that
with
sponsor.
a couple 8s on the door too.
Yeah. Yep. True. Yep. Yeah. Very fitting there, and obviously as well. We're just a little stream here on YouTube, but kind of just to echo what Grant was saying. Obviously, we want to send out our thoughts, our condolences, our prayers to Kyle Busch's family, his friends as well. Obviously, what?
Did you guys do a silent lap?
We unfortunately missed it.
Wow. I blame you, Seth.
It's okay. I blame me too. But obviously, our thoughts and condolences out to Kyle Busch's family as well as they're going through this tough time. And honestly, would not be surprised if probably in the next coming few weeks we see some more Kyle Busch tribute schemes out here on the racetrack on Thursday nights. So we're keeping an eye out for those. But wow, what an incredible way to start out the season. 3 different drivers have gone to victory lane. We've seen a little bit of everything in these first 3 races, and we're only a third of the way through the regular season. That's not even counting when the playoffs begin. So what does next week have in store? Certainly is going to be interesting to find out. But we thank you all for tuning into our coverage here tonight. Congratulations to Grant Wesley as he picks up the victory here in the Talladega Challenge Series. We'll see you guys next Thursday night as we continue on the 68th season of the Talladega Challenge Series. Again, as Michael said, not 100% certain. It's either next week or the following week that the bracket challenge will begin. So if it is next week, we will give you the respective matchups, and we'll see if maybe a 4th different driver goes to victory lane. But for Kyle Matthews, Blaine Donlin, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for spending your Thursday evening with us, folks. We'll see you guys next week as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flat Out Racing Network and Tarnation TV.